Welcome to WhatGear Reviews, you legendary person, and today I'm making this video for you Sony fans out there. So if you're finding me for the first time and you like Sony videos, then make sure you Hulk smash that subscribe button. But today I'm comparing old versus new. So I'm comparing the Sony Xperia XZ2, which has one shooter, versus the brand new Sony Xperia 5, which has 3 shooters. And the real reason I'm making this video is because I want to see how much the Sony Xperia cameras have improved since 2018 when they launched the Xperia XZ2. So are you ready? Let's go. So I want to kick this video off with a big shout out to the sponsor of this video, Vodafone.co.uk. If you're thinking about picking up an Xperia 5, they have a PS4 bundle with FIFA at an amazing price, so you definitely want to check that one out. There'll be a link below this video so you can check out the latest deals and maybe grab yourself a free PS4. So here is picture 1 of the dog, and you can see straight away there's been a massive improvement when it comes to the Xperia 5 and HDR. On the Xperia XZ2 photo, you've got great details there in the foreground, but you'll notice in the background, in the sky, there is zero detail, and this is where HDR comes into play. On the Xperia 5, we've got the blue sky, you got the clouds, still good detail in the foreground, and you're not really getting that on the Xperia XZ2. So this is definitely one area where Sony have improved the camera software. Now let's move on to picture 2. So this one is a Hdr Selfie, and actually both phones surprised me here because the XZ2 has actually handled that backlight really well straight out of the camera. Although I'm quite dark in the foreground there, and that's where it kind of falls down a little bit. The Sony Xperia 5 has definitely brightened up the foreground, but maybe lost a bit of detail up there in the top right corner. But the main thing is the subject of the photo, which is me, is clearly visible and not too dark. So I think that is an improvement, although we are losing some of that detail in the top right corner. So let me know in the poll up in the top right corner which one you think wins this one. Now let's move on to picture 3. So believe me when I tell you this, 2020 is going to be the year of the macro photo. All of the smartphone companies are going to be focusing on this, and I thought I'd test out a macro shot for you guys here. And you can see again, this is an area where Sony have really improved the camera software, because on the XZ2 we're losing so much of that detail. There's no sharpness on it at all, and I did take this photo a few times to try and get the best image I could, and this is the best I could get. So we can see Sony have definitely made a significant improvement here with the Xperia 5. Look how sharp this sharp thing is in the center of the photo. I have no idea what this actually is, but it was interesting to take a photo of. That's why I took it. But again, I think you guys can see the difference here between the 2018 and the 2019 smartphone. Let's move on to the next one. So guys, have you joined Team Trees, where Mr. Beast and the crew are trying to plant 20 million trees? If not, there's a link below this video. You can join in the effort and maybe change the world for the better. But anyway, the photo here of trees looking up into the sky, you can actually see the XZ2 did really quite well here. I'm actually quite impressed. There's way less shadows than the Xperia 5, although the Xperia 5 I think is catching more of a realistic photo. The XZ2 actually did really well at brightening the shadows and just delivering a brighter picture overall. Really quite interesting results here. You could actually give this one to the XZ2 if you had to pick a winner. Let me know. There's a poll up in the top right corner. And now let's move on to some side-by-side video tests. now that you've seen the side-by-side video comparison, how well did the XZ2 do, considering it's nearly 2 years old now? So you might not be able to see it, but way back there is a church. And this is a good opportunity to test how well the two phones zoom. I do fully expect the Xperia 5 to be better here because it has a dedicated zoom lens, but let's see how much it's improved over the years. So quite a big difference here, way more detail there on the Xperia 5, quite a lot of blurriness and soft edges there on the Xperia 2, but not a bad effort though, considering how far away that church is. Again, this is a good example of how Sony have improved their cameras. Now, on to the next one. So this is a HDR photo, and I took this with the manual settings on both phones. And you can actually see here how much better the Xperia is now with HDR. There's quite a lot of detail missing there at the top left corner of the photo on the XZ2. And you can see on the top left corner of the Xperia 5, you're getting all the clouds and the sky. And the sun was literally right there, so that's quite an extreme HDR photo here. I could have shifted the white balance a bit more on the Xperia 5 with the manual settings, but I left everything on auto. I just toggled on HDR. And if you guys want to check out how to use HDR on the Xperia phones, I made a dedicated video just about that, which I'll link at the end of this video, so you can check that out. Anyway, I'm going to roll the next few photos. Let me know at the end of that which one you think's winning so far using the poll up in the top right corner. Segment of the video where we compare the night photography between the Sony Xperia XZ2 and the brand new Sony Xperia 5. This is the XZ2. Now let's switch to the Xperia 5. So can you see an improvement in Sony's camera over 2 years at night, selfie video? How does it look? Is there a noticeable difference? Let me know. And what do you think of the photo so far as well? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure you're using those polls up in the top corner to vote on each photo. That way you can see what everyone else is saying. Anyway, let's crack on. So this is night picture 1 on both devices, and you can see here that Sony have definitely made an improvement when it comes to night photography, and you can really see that around the bright lights in the photo. They're completely blown out on the XZ2 and actually much sharper, more in focus there on the Xperia 5, so that's definitely an improvement. So this is a photo I take with almost every single phone I test, and you can see here the evolution of the Xperia 5 in comparison to the XZ2. The night mode on the Sonys now has definitely been improved. There isn't actually a dedicated night mode, it just does a slightly longer exposure, which you can see has a great effect. The only problem with that is if you're taking a photo of a moving object, or if you move your hand whilst taking a photo, it can ruin it completely. The Xperia XZ2 just takes a very quick shot, which can avoid that blur, but then again you can see it's just not as bright, not as detailed, so definitely an improvement here for Sony when it comes to night mode. So this is a night selfie photograph, and you can see actually both do pretty well when it comes to this, but one major difference I can see straight away is that on the Xperia 2 you're getting a lot of noise in the background and even in the foreground. If you look at the bottom right corner of the picture, you can see how much noise is there on my jacket, and also I notice a bit of a greenish tint to it. Now on the Xperia 5 it's a warmer photo, a bit more of an orange tint, a lot less noise, and that's a good thing. So again, I think it's another improvement here. What do you think about this photo? Let me know in the comments below. And now the next few photos I'm just going to roll without any commentary and use the poll at the end of these next photos to vote for which one you think's better. I think I know which one you're going to choose, but hey, might as well do it anyway. And that way you can see what everybody else is saying. So guys, let me know what you thought of this comparison. I don't think any other YouTubers made this particular video, so hopefully it's a unique one. And if you're a Sony fan, make sure you subscribe, because I got a bunch of Sony Xperia 5 videos coming up very soon. And I know I didn't do the ultra wide and the telephoto because the XZ2 doesn't have that, so I didn't think it would be fair. If you want to know how good that is, there's another thumbnail on screen right now, the Xperia 5 versus the Galaxy Note 10. You can see what the ultra wide and the telephoto is all about in that video. Go check that one out. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next one. Don't be late.